Welcome to today's episode of the Working Wisdom podcast series, brought to you by the C.T. Bauer College of Business at the University of Houston. We're having a conversation about work-life balance, how to navigate and overcome challenges within your career, and how to make business more accommodating to a diverse workforce.
Hi everyone, my name is Samuel Cooper. I'm a master's student here at Bauer. With me today is a very special guest, Carla Murphy. She is a senior manager at Enterprise Products Partnership. And today we'll be having a very special topic. It'll be on first generation college graduates. So Carla, let's talk a little bit about your experience as a first generation college graduate. Let's talk a little bit about you and what that was like and your story, sort of.
Well, I guess being a first generation college student, graduating from high school, college really wasn't even on my radar. I wasn't even thinking about college. My senior year, I started hearing all my friends talk about where they were going and the acceptance letters that they had received from different colleges. And I'm thinking, should I be applying for college too? I mean, it's just something that I never really thought about because no one in my family had gone. So once I started thinking in that direction, I met with my high school counselor. And he just kind of guided me on what all I needed to do, what type of grades I needed to have, SAT scores, and financial aid. And so he was really the one who kind of got the ball rolling for me in terms of applying to different schools. And so once I narrowed down my school and where I wanted to go, I applied and I was accepted. And so there began my journey of college and my college career.
So as you were making that decision and as you were moving forward in the process, how did your family feel about it?
They were so thrilled when I actually got accepted. My mom helped me out with the financial aid, of course, because I didn't know how to answer most of the questions. And so when I was talking to her about it and telling her that, look, this is what I wanted to do, she definitely encouraged it. She was thrilled and excited for me. But when I actually was accepted and I started having to go and buy supplies and get ready for dorm life, and once all that started happening, as we got further along in the process, then she became even more excited, even more thrilled because she knew that it was actually happening. So once she started seeing it actually happen and unfold, she was just as excited. She didn't know a lot about what to expect, but just going through that whole process with me, that whole journey of getting ready and preparing me for it. And the day that I left, I'll never forget. She cried so much as I was packing up and loading on to the truck, all my things, getting ready to go off. It was her first ever and her youngest ever going off to school. So she was the proudest mom ever.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, on the topic of family and all that, what was it like growing up with, 9 siblings?
9.
Wow.
Actually, I'm the youngest of 9, so it's more like 8. First, it was awesome. I mean, I was spoiled rotten. My sisters thought that I was a baby doll that they could dress because they were so much older than me. I think the biggest gap is 15 years. So they spoiled me rotten, let me hang with them until I got to be an age where I became annoying. And so at that time, I started hanging out with my brothers more. I have 2 sisters and I have 6 brothers. And so I spent most of my time with my brothers playing with them. So I was the ultimate tomboy growing up.
So then with that and the whole jump into college, what were some of the biggest challenges as you moved into college that maybe you didn't expect or see coming?
Studying. I think that was the biggest challenge for me. I was always a good student growing up in elementary, middle school, high school. School just came naturally to me. I always got good grades. I never had a problem. I never struggled with any of my courses. But once I got into college, of course, and realized that I had to actually study, I had to actually read, I learned very early on with my first D after taking a test. I think it was in math. I got a D.
Yeah, I don't get you.
I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, why did I get this D? Well, once I learned how to study and once I learned how to apply what I was learning in class, in the classroom, it just got better and better. I mean, it took off for me. After that, of course, I think I graduated with a 3.6 or 3.7 GPA. But my first semester in school was definitely my hardest because I really didn't realize that I had to actually study. So I think that would be the biggest struggle that I had initially.
Okay. And then on the topic of school as well, so what made you choose accounting?
Well, that's a good question. It's actually an easy question because I took accounting as an elective in high school. I think my 10th grade year, my sophomore year, loved it. I loved it. From the very first page, at that time, there were these trial balance workbooks that we had to work through. I would get in my class every day. I would take that class and I would get that workbook and immediately I couldn't even put it down. I mean, I was so passionate about it and so interested in it, and I enjoyed it so much that when I would go to school, when I would go to class, it was just natural for me. It was very easy, and it's something that I really enjoyed doing. So once I decided that I was going to go ahead and go to college, I knew that was the easiest choice or decision that I had to make. Choosing a major. And so accounting, of course, was the perfect fit for me.
Makes sense. So would you say that for students who are first generation going into college, would you say they have some unique challenges compared to other students who've
Absolutely. Just not having knowledge of the different resources that are out there, the different opportunities, not being as prepared, I think, is also unique challenges that a first generation student may encounter. Also, financial challenges is another one. Without financial aid, without the grants and the student loans, there's no way I would have been able to make and graduate from University of Houston. My mom definitely couldn't afford it. My dad couldn't afford it. I did work. I did actually manage to work, but I definitely couldn't have done it on my own. It would have taken me a lot longer, I think, had I had to finance 100% of my education myself. So I think, like I said, the financial challenges and also just not being prepared to what to expect going into to school, to college.
So then what advice might you give to some of those students who are maybe in a similar situation right now?
I think I would say take advantage of your counselors at high school, your high school counselors, and make sure that you can prepare as much as you possibly can. Listen to what your counselors have to say, their recommendations. I would also say to study. Make sure you study and learn how to study and be able to take good notes. I think another thing that I would say to a first generation college student is that you can do it. Even though this is your first time and you may be the first one in your family going, I think you serve as a role model to the rest of your family members to show them that there is an opportunity towards something better if you go on and get a higher education, and don't let it stop you that you are a first generation or a first time college student.
So you say confidence is a really big, very important thing, right?
Absolutely. Having confidence in yourself, working hard, and just knowing that you can achieve your goals as long as you work hard.
So then what did you do after you graduated from Bauer?
After I graduated, I went to work for Texaco. And now Texaco is Chevron. Chevron bought out Texaco. So I went and I worked in accounting for Texaco for around 5 years. After that, I went to work for Enron. And we know what happened to Enron. I was there for, I would say, maybe 3 years. So I wasn't as impacted or affected as some of the other Enron employees that had been there a lot longer. I actually was still working for Enron when I started working for Enterprise Products, when I got the opportunity to interview for Enterprise Products. So in 2003, I got a phone call for an interview at Enterprise Products, and the rest is history. So I've been working for Enterprise Products since 2003. Yes.
So if we were to go into a sort of alternate reality, where do you think your life would have turned out if you hadn't graduated from Bauer?
Oh, I think I still would have found some great opportunity, maybe in the accounting field, but not as a professional accountant. Something dealing with numbers, because like I said, when I was in high school taking that accounting elective, I enjoyed it so much. So I'm sure I probably would have found something in the accounting field. Because I still was a worker bee. I still worked hard. I always have worked since the age of 15. So I definitely probably would be in accounting in some capacity.
All right. So then, could you also tell us a little bit about the scholarship you're creating and some of the reasons behind it or the importance of it?
Absolutely, sure. So the scholarship that I have recently started is in honor of my parents, Jimmy and Clara Murphy. My parents are both deceased, but my parents believed in hard work, and as far as in education, they believe that doing your best, and my mom was always so proud whenever I would bring home straight A's, or even if I didn't do as good with straight A's, she was still always proud. I remember looking at her stuff and seeing all of my old report cards from not just my school years, but also my brothers and sisters. She kept every single report card that we had. I mean, and that just showed me how proud she was of our education and how well we were doing in school. So knowing that, I wanted to memorialize them and create a legacy in their honor and in their name, so that it helps someone in a similar position that I found myself in, a first generation student who may not know what it's like going to college, may not have the financial means to go to college, may not even have the support from her family because they can't to go to college. Hopefully this scholarship will give them that. It'll give them that motivation and that inspiration to push forward, to push harder, and let them know that they're not alone, that they're not the first person to have to overcome a huge hurdle like being the first generation college student.
That is a very beautiful thing, and thank you so much for doing that and all that you contribute to Bauer.
Absolutely.
And Carla, as always, it's very wonderful to see and talk to you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Working Wisdom podcast series from the C.T. Bauer College of Business, brought to you by the Inclusive Leadership Initiative. The initiative aims to develop inclusive leaders and family-friendly cultures that support business strategy and superior business performance. For more information about Bauer and this podcast series, visit www.bauer.uh.edu/podcast.